as is the practice here in the Vrindavan temple. And you're all quite aware that Chaitanya Charitamrita was very dear to Srila Prabhupada. Indeed, in the 74-75, when the printing of the Srimad Bhagavatam was going on, he had requested the devotees to stop the printing of Bhagavatam to allow the printing of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So that is that famous time when devotees, the BBT manager, said it would not be possible to print Chaitanya Charitamrita in 2 months. But Prabhupada said, impossible is not a word in my dictionary. It's just not in my dictionary. You have to do it. And the devotees did it. 2 months, Chaitanya Charitamrita was ready. All 17 volumes. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So I'll be speaking about it a little later. I would be singing this song, beautiful song, written by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He was a very close associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it's believed that he is the incarnation of the spiritual master of the demigods, Brihaspati. Directly, Brihaspati's avatar, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, a beautiful astakam known as Sachisuta Astakam, which describes the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. While we are setting it up here, if those devotees who like to see on their mobile, nowadays we have this very good facility. Look under Navagora Varam, starting with Navagora Varam or Sachisuta Astakam. So if you have some problem with the vision here, is it visible? No, it's not played yet. Okay, it will be coming here also, but if you want to see on your mobiles, please check it under Sachisuta Astakam or starting with Navagoravaram. As I was saying, Prabhupada was very fond of Chaitanya Charitamrita, as was his Guru Maharaj, our Param Guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, Chaitanya Charitamrita is like a collection of Bengali sweets, one after the other, tasty sweets. So nice about Chaitanya Charitamrita. And when Prabhupada was on the Jaladuta, he found solace in his 35-day ordeal journey. He found solace by reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it was Prabhupada's desire that every home should have Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Bhagavatam said so also. Indeed, actually, Prabhupada said, these books, when Prabhupada was asked once, what will happen when you die? This is a very famous statement by Srila Prabhupada, and the most interesting answer, which is like a life-giving tonic. This is Sanjeevani. This is Sanjeevani. Prabhupada's answer to the question, what will happen when you die? Prabhupada's answer, I will never die. I will always live in my books and they will utilize. So we have to take this instruction very seriously about Prabhupada. He has given, these books are not static. They are very dynamic. Every time you read, you will find something for everyone in these books. In the course of these lectures, there's a indication how Krishna consciousness is always expanding. And that was the mood of Srila Prabhupada. And just to end this introduction, one devotee, very dynamic book distributor, just said a few days ago that the identity of any ISKCON devotee is that he is a book distributor first, directly or indirectly. This is the identity, because all of us have come to ISKCON because of reading Prabhupada's books. And so we have this obligation to pass on this mercy to others by distributing these books. Prabhupada said, these books are not written by me. Every morning Krishna comes and dictates, and I've given them a written form. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So, taking all the blessings of the senior Vaishnavas, all the Vaishnavas, great devotees, Prithu Prabhu, Panchagoda, Shruti Kirti, Bhakta Brihad Bhagavat Maharaj, and all the other devotees here. I continue with the Chaitanya Charitamrita recitation. This chapter today is from Adi Lila, chapter 4, text numbers 187 to 189. I'll start with text number 187. Gopika darshane Krishnera ananda hoye. Taha haite koti guna gopi asvadhyaya. So time's running out. One or two devotees, Prabhus and one or two Matajis can recite.
Gopika darshane Krishne ye ananda hai.
Gopika darshane Krishne ye ananda hai.
We askana.
Tahate koti guna gopi asvadhyaya.
Senior devotees first. One more Prabhuji and then one Mataji. Maharaj?
Can see.
Okay.
Gopika darshane Krishne ye ananda hai. Tahate koti guna gopi asvadhyaya.
Mataji, one Mataji.
Gopika darshane Krishne ye ananda hai. Tahate koti guna gopi asvadhyaya.
Okay. I'll just go into the translation directly. The gopis take a pleasure 10 million times greater than the pleasure Lord Krishna derives from seeing them. Please repeat. The gopis taste a pleasure 10 million times greater than the pleasure Lord Krishna derives from seeing them. There's a short purport to that. I'll be reading a couple of more verses and speaking on them. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The wonderful characteristics of the gopis are beyond imagination. They have no desire for personal satisfaction. Yet, when Krishna is happy by seeing them, that happiness of Krishna makes the gopis 1,000,000 times more happy than Krishna himself. It's a very, very meaningful purport. Prabhupada is saying the gopis, they only want to see Krishna happy. That's the nature of a devotee also. They want to see Krishna happy. They are not interested in their own happiness. They want not point Krishna say, if a devotee is suffering, if Krishna is happy to see me suffering, then let that suffering, that very suffering is the greatest happiness for me. We'll continue a couple of more verses and then we'll. Next verse. The gopis have no inclination for their own enjoyment, and yet their joy increases. Bhagavatam. Back to Bhagavatam today. That puts get that ready. The gopis have no inclination for their own enjoyment, and yet their joy increases. That is indeed a contradiction. Now Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is continuing, text 189. For this contradiction, I see only one solution. The joy of the gopis lies in the joy of their beloved Krishna. I'll repeat that, it's very important. For this contradiction, okay, you can repeat. For this contradiction, I see only one solution. The joy of the gopis lies in the joy of their beloved Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. The situation of the gopis is perplexing. For although they did not want personal happiness, it was imposed upon them. The solution to this perplexity is that Sri Krishna's sense of happiness is limited by the happiness of the gopis. Krishna's happiness is limited by the happiness of the gopis. Devotees at Vrindavan therefore try to serve the gopis, namely Radharani and her associates. If one gains the favor of the gopis, he easily gains the favor of Krishna, because on the recommendation of the gopis, Krishna at once accepts the service of a devotee. On the recommendation of the gopis or Srimati Radharani, Krishna at once accepts the service of a devotee. Krishna cannot be approached directly. If someone says he's a devotee of Krishna, then Krishna says, then he's not my devotee. If he says, devotee of my devotee, Gopir Bhatur Pada Kamaleam Das 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 Anuda. If someone says, I'm a das of my devotee, then he's my das. Lord Chaitanya, therefore, wanted to please the gopis instead of Krishna. But his contemporaries misunderstood him. And for this reason, Lord Chaitanya renounced the order of householder life and became a sannyasi. Vakam karoti vachanam panghun langayate girim yat kripa tam ham vande shiguru dinatarnam paramananda madhavam. So I was just reading in the Bhagavatam a verse and purport which closely resembles this verse. And this is an elaboration on this very verse and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here, Krishna is saying in the Bhagavatam to Durvasa Muni, after Durvasa Muni had offended Maharaj Ambarish and went all the way to Vaikuntha, fell at the feet of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu speaks about the glories of his devotees. And here is one of the verses where he says, this is in the 9th canto, 4th chapter, verse number 64 onwards. Here Krishna is saying, I'll just read the English to this. He's saying to Durvasa Muni, O best of the Brahmanas, without, oh very good, it's on the board also. If you would like to follow as I'm reading, that will be also nice. O best of the Brahmanas, without saint, no, I will read myself, but you can follow as I'm reading. O best of the Brahmanas, without saintly persons, for whom I am the only destination, I do not desire to enjoy my transcendental bliss and my supreme opulences. Here Krishna is saying that without saintly persons, they are actually in my heart and soul. A little later on, he says that I reside in the hearts of my devotees, and the devotees reside in my heart. And he goes on to say, the devotees know nothing except me, and I know nothing except my devotees. So Krishna is as much about his devotees as he is about himself. He cannot be separated from his devotees. And in this very beautiful purport, Srila Prabhupada goes on to say, Supreme Personality of Godhead is self-sufficient, but to enjoy his transcendental bliss, he requires the cooperation of his devotees. Although he is sufficient, self-sufficient, but to enjoy his transcendental bliss, what does he require? He requires the association of his devotees, cooperation of his devotees. He mentioned requires the cooperation of his devotees. In Vrindavan, for example, although Lord Krishna is full in himself, he wants the cooperation of his devotees. Although he is full in himself, he still wants the cooperation of his devotees, like the cowherd boys and the gopis, to increase his transcendental bliss. Such pure devotees who can increase the pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are certainly most dear to him. Those who can increase his transcendental bliss, they are very, very dear to him. Not only does the Supreme Personality of Godhead enjoy the company of his devotees, but because he is unlimited, he wants to increase his devotees unlimitedly. Because he is unlimited, so he wants to increase the devotees unlimited. He wants to increase. Anandham buddhivardhanam pratibadam purnamritasam. His thus, he descends to the material world to induce the non-devotees and rebellious living entities to return home. So eloquently explained by Prabhupada, he descends to the material world to induce the non-devotees and rebellious living entities to return home back to Godhead. He requests them to surrender unto him because, unlimited as he is, he wants to increase his devotees unlimitedly. He wants to increase his devotees unlimitedly. The Krishna consciousness movement is an attempt to increase the number of pure devotees of the Supreme Lord more and more. It is certainly that a devotee who helps in this endeavor, it is certain that a devotee who helps in this endeavor to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes indirectly a controller of the Supreme Lord. Any devotee who helps Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this endeavor becomes a controller of the Supreme Lord. Although the Supreme Lord is full in 6 opulences, he does not feel transcendental bliss without his devotees. We just read that. This verse says that I do not feel any happiness, bliss, any opulences will not satisfy me without my devotees. An example that may be cited in this regard is that if a very rich man does not have sons in a family, he does not feel happiness. Indeed, sometimes a rich man adopts a son to complete his happiness. The science of transcendental bliss is known to the pure devotee. Therefore, the pure devotee always Therefore, the pure devotee is always engaged in increasing the transcendental happiness of the Lord. So here we know how to increase the transcendental happiness of the Lord by engaging in his service. And we find in another section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita that the Pancha Tattva, for so long, love of Krishna was actually stored in a storehouse. I call it very Bandhar. It's called Bandhar, storehouse of love. Since Krishna's time, very few people could actually taste that love of God. Not that it did not exist. It did exist, but very few people had the access to love of Krishna or Krishna Prem. But here, Krishnadas Kaviraj is describing very eloquently. He's using the words. He's saying that this storehouse of love, this was looted by the Panchatattva. Krishna was a thief, stealing, expert at stealing butter, many other things, beauty of the clouds, devotees' hearts. He's very expert at stealing. But here Krishnadas Kaviraj is using a much stronger word. Looting. Krishna was only stealing. Here Panchatattva are looting. What are they looting? They broke open the storehouse of love and they looted all the contents of Krishna Prem. And they distributed this to anyone and everyone. Lutiya, Khaya, Diba, Ashcharya Band, Sat Guna Bade. Every time they emptied the storehouse of love, it filled up again 100 times. Then they again emptied it. Then again it got filled up. Sthana, asthan, na kariye vichar, patra, apatra, na vichar, nahi sthana, asthan. ये यारे देखे ताबे दिए कृष्णा प्रेम धन They do not care whether someone is qualified or not. Patra means qualified. Apatra means unqualified. Sthana means place. Asthan means not a good place. Whomever they saw, wherever they saw, they gave this Krishna prem. And that was also the mood of Srila Prabhupada. He gave this Krishna consciousness to all and everyone. And we, as his followers, we have this duty to carry on this legacy. And the best way to do is, or at least one of the best ways, is by book distribution. Because Prabhupada emphasized this book distribution over and over and over again. He said, this is the heart of ISKCON, book distribution. And he said, this is also my heart, means Prabhupada's heart, book distribution. I just was quoting one devotee before some of the other devotees came here. One devotee made a very nice statement that the identity of every devotee, first and foremost, directly or indirectly, is that he is a book distributor. He may be doing it directly, book distribution, going out personally, distributing so many books, or engaged in so many other ways, or indirectly, facilitating book distribution. But that should be the identity of ISKCON devotee. And Prabhupada will be very much pleased with that. Excuse me. So here, it's very nicely explained that actually Krishna feels more pleasure when his devotees are glorified. And when the devotees take shelter of his devotees. Continuing from the purport, Krishna feels that there is nothing he can reward or give in reward to his devotees. Like in the case of the gopis gave up everything. They left their husband, their children, household, everything to go to Krishna. So then it came to the point where Krishna says that there is nothing left more in my treasury which I could give you. Let your good activities, let your pious activities be your own reward for your own selfless service. And that is the way to conquer. Prabhupada has explained, to conquer Krishna. Ajit, his name is Ajit. He is unconquerable. Every evening, sometimes in the morning, we are singing nice Damodar Asakam. Iti Drikswa Lila Vir Ananda Kunde Sagosam Nimijandam Akyam Tadiyesita Geshu Bhaktir Jitatvam. Not possible to catch him by great knowledge or anything, but Bhaktir Jitatvam. Devotees can defeat him. Ajit becomes Jita. Means he can become conquerable. Bhaktir Jitatvam. There's one nice story here. Surdas, previously was known as Bilvi Mangal Thakur, came to Vrindavan and was staying here for some time. And Krishna is always looking how I can serve my devotees. Devotees are inseparable from Krishna. Devotees are as much part of Krishna consciousness as Krishna himself. So Krishna is a small boy. Bilvi Mangal Thakur, Surdas, he had intentionally blinded himself. So he's residing here in Vrindavan. The little boy would bring a lota of milk for him every day. Then he would go away. So this was surprising to Surdas. So he was saying, who is this boy who comes every day? tomorrow I'm going to catch him. I will find out who is he who's every day bringing this milk for me. So next day, when this little boy, you probably guessed who that boy is. Anyway, you will know very soon. The little boy came, gave that lota of milk to Surdas. And Surdas clasped him. Now I'm not going to let you go. You have to tell me who you are. Before Surdas finished speaking, the boy had wriggled out and gone. So here Surdas makes a very nice statement. So you think you are very strong, huh? You got out of my grip hand, you get out of my heart, then I will believe that you are strong. Because Krishna can never leave the heart of his devotees. He is always in the heart of his devotees. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was once sitting in his house. This is narrated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, beautiful story. Many devotees were there with him, and many topics were being discussed. His Goshi was there, and in his own house, Sachirani's house, Jagannath Mishra's house. And all of a sudden, Nimai says, now I am going home. Wow, now I am going home. This was a devastating or surprising statement for everyone. What is Mahaprabhu saying? He is going home. He is sitting in his home and he is saying, I am going to my home. So the devotees, they consulted amongst each other. What does he mean? I am going home. He is sitting in his home and he is saying, I am going home. So they thought, okay, we'll ask Murari Gupta. Anyone know who's Murari Gupta? Whose avatar is? Anyone? You know anyone else from the backside? Yeah, says Prabhu. Huh? Hanuman. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Give a clap for him. Good. Good. Murari Gupta. He is the incarnation of Hanuman. So they thought Murari Gupta is a very intimate associate, being incarnation of Hanuman. Let's ask Murari Gupta, what does he mean by saying, I am going home? So Murari Gupta revealed what he means that he is going home. He means that he is going to the hearts of his devotees because that is his actual residence. You can only be found in the hearts of his devotees. The nature of any devotee, especially advanced devotees, is they never take any credit for themselves. They always give credit to Krishna, predecessor acharyas, like Prabhupada always gave the credit for the success of this movement to his predecessor, his own Guru Maharaj, another predecessor acharya. They never take any credit for themselves. The supreme example of this, since some discussion is going on about gopis and the Radharani herself, being the topmost devotee of the Lord, there's no devotee comparable to Srimati Radharani. Yet, she takes a very humble position. Any person who approaches Radharani, Radha Shyam Sundarji, Radharani thinks that devotee is more advanced than me. He has brought something from me. And she recommends to Krishna. Prabhupada uses the word, gopis recommend the devotee to Krishna. Similarly, Radharani recommends, oh, he's such a nice devotee, take him. And because Radharani is recommending, Krishna will take. He has no other choice except to take. A devotee may be very insignificant, but because he or she is recommended by Radharani, Krishna will accept him very easily. Now, the supreme-most devotee of the Lord, who's Radharani, as Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur in his Vrindavan Mahamrita has said, Aradhyo Bhagwan Brajeshatanya Tadadham Vrindavanam Brahmakajit upasana vrajabadurva kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ramatir Idam Tatrana Para Adarha. The highest form of worship recommended by Prabodhananda Saraswati is Ramakachit Upasana, the worship that was performed by the gopis, which is again what the purport has said today. Just like Vrindavan is not different from Brajestanya, Krishna. So similarly, highest worship is worship of the gopis, and Srimad Bhagavatam, Pramanam Amalam, spotless Puranam. This is the opinion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, coming back to Radharani's story, Radharani, even though she is the most exalted devotee, she feels that she is very insignificant. Not that she feels very proud, I'm the topmost devotee. No, she feels she is very humble. And she is always praying. Spiritual life is always increasing. Anandam buddhi vardhanam. Any ocean has limits. Otherwise, everything will overflooded. But this ocean of love has no limits. Anandam buddhi vardhanam. And it increases more and more and more without any limit, which is what Krishna is saying in the purport. He wants this movement to expand unlimitedly, and it will happen only through book distribution. So now, Radharani, she's reciting a very nice story from one of the scriptures. It's a story which is coming directly from the lotus mouth of Radharani. It's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, in the section that deals with the Sikshamrita. So here Radharani is reciting a wonderful story, and you will see why she is reciting that story. I'll tell you at the end. Now Radharani, from her lotus mouth, she's saying, there was one village, and in the village there lived a very elderly couple. The husband was afflicted with leprosy due to past karma, and the wife was very chaste. She was the epitome of chastity, you can say, just like Radharani is also the epitome of chastity. Similarly, this wife was epitome of chastity. So, however, in that village, there lived one prostitute. So, this elderly Brahman, although he was very old and afflicted with leprosy, still he was attracted to this prostitute. And somehow he wanted to enjoy her. And this lady, his wife, being sensitive to his feelings, she could understand that my husband is attracted to this prostitute. So she went secretly and started doing some services for this prostitute. She would clean her house, she clean all the utensils, massage her, do everything to keep that prostitute comfortable and happy. One day the prostitute said, "No, my dear lady, you have been working so selflessly for so many days. I want to give you some wages. Please take some wages." She said, No, I don't want any wages. But my husband has one desire, to enjoy with you, copulate with you. Once, please fill that desire. This is all I request. The prostitute refused. No, because your husband is afflicted with leprosy. If this word gets around, then no one will come to me, so I will not. But this Brahmini, she never gave up. She kept on serving this prostitute even more and more. Then the heart of the prostitute melted. And one day she said, okay, bring him here. I will not go to your house, but bring him here. So one night, this Brahmini, she took her husband. He was so weak, he could not even walk. And he was afflicted with leprosy. But our senses are so strong, vasanas are so strong, it's almost impossible to give it up. Such an aged person afflicted with leprosy still could not give up this illicit desire. So she had to literally carry him on her shoulders. It was a dark night. While walking to the prostitute's house, somehow the husband's foot touched one rishi. The name of the rishi was Markandeya Rishi. Touched Markandeya Rishi. And Markandeya Rishi immediately flared up. Who dare touch me with his feet? I curse him. Before the sun rises in the morning, he will die. Now this Brahmini was in deep anxiety, shocked. What? I thought of getting my husband some pleasure from this prostitute, and the sun rises tomorrow, my husband will no longer be there. Now what can I do? I'm such a pitiable condition. What can I do? So she thought, now I have only one thing left for me. The curse says that when the sun rises, somehow I have to stop the sun from rising. So she prayed fervently, O directions, O demigods, if I have been chaste all my life and have not had a single thought about any man apart from my husband, then tomorrow the sun will not rise. So now it's a very perplexing situation. Here is Markandeya Rishi. His curse can never be unfruitful. It has to be fruitful. But then we have this lady's, what happened? Lady's announcement. If I am chaste, then the sun will not rise. The sun god respected her chastity. And out of respect for her chastity, the sun did not rise the next morning. So the sun did not rise the next morning, created a very piquant situation, difficult situation in the universe. Of course, some devotees may like, if the sun does not rise, they may not have to come to Mangalati then. That's a different answer, different thing. But actually, the situation is very serious. So, in that situation, some demigods went to the principal demigods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and they said, please, you have to come. There is no light because the sun is not rising. You have to come immediately. Otherwise, this whole universe is going to be finished. Please come immediately. So the three demigods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, immediately came to that spot. Came to the spot and they tried to talk to this Brahmini, Devi. Please give up this statement which you have spoken. Otherwise, this universe is going to be destroyed. It's going to come to an end. And what she said, I don't care about the universe. I couldn't care less about the universe. I cannot see my husband die. So seeing her determination, Lord Vishnu, who was standing there, said, okay, Devi, I will request you. In Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says, Jivanam sarva bhutanam. I am the life of all that lives. Undoubtedly, your husband will die when the sun rises, if the sun rises, because Markandeya Rishi's curse cannot be foiled. But I am here. I assure you, I'll bring him back to life. So having received that assurance from Lord Vishnu, she agreed, okay, I'll take my words back. When she took her words back, the sun rose. When the sun rose, as it was inevitable, her husband died, because Markandeya Rishi's curse cannot be foiled. He died. But Lord Vishnu was there. Jivanam sarva bhutanam. I am the life of all living entities. So he brought her husband back to life. And not only brought her back to life, but gave him a very youthful body that was free from leprosy. Now we will wonder why Radharani is narrating this story. That's the important point. Radharani is narrating this story because Radharani is saying just this chastity, the chaste Brahmini, because of her chastity, faithfulness to her husband, the sun was stopped from rising. The sun by itself stopped from rising. And her dead husband, normally no one can come back to life. But even her husband came back to life because of her chastity. So Radharani is praying. She is praying, let my devotion to Krishna be like that of this Brahmini, by whose chastity the sun stopped rising and my dead husband, her dead husband, was brought back to life. That's why Radharani is saying this. So we'll just conclude and saying that we have all of us collectively, individually, great obligation to Srila Prabhupada. Actually, what Srila Prabhupada has given us, we can never repay him. Krishna says in the same verse. He is referring to the life of Brahma. In the lifetime of Brahma, we cannot repay what Krishna has given us, what Srila Prabhupada has given us. We will never be able to remove or liquidate the debt that we owe to Srila Prabhupada. Yet, we can act in such a way that Srila Prabhupada feels pleased with us. And one of the best ways is by book distribution, because Prabhupada emphasized that over and over and over again. I'll just repeat that very nice statement by one very dear friend of mine. The identity of any ISKCON devotee, directly or indirectly, should be that he's a book distributor. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I take the blessings of Prithu Prabhu, Panchagoda Prabhu, Shruti Kirti Prabhu, His Holiness Priyat Bhagavat Maharaj, and all the other devotees. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.